Where has Reed Richards been all this time? And is there an actual reason why Earth 616 does not have a variant of the smartest man alive? Reed Richards is widely regarded as not only one of the most intelligent characters that Marvel has ever seen, but one of the cornerstones of the Marvel Universe. Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four, are beloved staples of every reality that they are in, and their absence from the MCU is not only noticeable, but palpable. Now, with the Fantastic Four solo project on the near horizon, we are just a few short years away from bringing Marvel's first family home and entering the mainline Marvel universe. This has led many fans to wonder, however, where they've been all this time, and why we haven't heard anything from one of the most prolific teams of explorers since the inception of the Marvel universe. One popular theory has recently emerged which seems to explain why neither the Fantastic Four nor their most iconic rival, Victor Von Doom, has entered the MCU yet, and it all just may tie back into the main antagonist of Phases 5 and 6, Kang the Conqueror. So today, my friends, let's dive into exactly why Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom in particular have been absent from the mainline timeline so far. In the first season of Loki, it is explained that He Who Remains is a refugee of the first multiversal war, and is the individual who rewrote the multiverse in a single uniform time stream in order to prevent himself from ever being born. This all but eliminated the multiverse as a concept and relegated all of existence into one pre-scripted time stream. He Who Remains explains that he deliberately crafted a timeline that would be safe from the individual known as Nathaniel Richards, who would later become Kang the Conqueror, implying that in this timeline he is never born. Because Kang is never born, he never sets his sights on multiversal conquest or the science of time travel, but few have stopped to wonder how this came to be. This particular theory proposes that He Who Remains deliberately constructed a timeline wherein Reed Richards does not exist, or rather, is unable to have children with the express purpose of preventing Kang's birth. In the comics, Kang the Conqueror is a distant descendant of the Richards family, and he uses his incredible intellect to reconstruct the fragments of a broken time machine. It is this time machine that sets him on the path to beginning his villainous tenure as an interdimensional tyrant, one who travels throughout the time stream in order to collect artifacts and gadgets, as well as lay waste to eras that he seeks to dominate. Kang's intellect can be directly linked to his relationship to the smartest man alive, and is one of the many reasons why he is so incredibly dangerous. Reed Richards is often regarded as one of the most influential beings in all of Marvel Comics, and is widely accepted as the single smartest individual on Earth, with an incredible wealth of discoveries and inventions to his name. He has explored neighboring timelines, different dimensions, and the furthest reaches of space, pioneering an era of exploration unrivaled by anyone else. The Fantastic Four are not only cornerstones of any reality they find themselves in, but they're directly responsible for the most prolific discoveries in any reality that they are born into. If the MCU had an iteration of Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four, they would rapidly become far more technologically advanced than the current reality is. If we are to take just the iteration from Earth 838, we can see just how impressive Reed's scientific genius is. The foliage and the plant life seen on the buildings of Earth 838 were a project designed by Reed in order to combat pollution, helping to restore the Earth's ozone layer. He has created teleportation doors, advanced exploration suits, founded the Illuminati, and this is just what we have seen so far. There is no telling how much more advanced Earth 838 is, and what part Reed had to play in it, and He Who Remains certainly knew this. If he decided to write Reed Richards out of existence, then it would seemingly have two direct effects. Number one, Nathaniel Richards would either never be born, or he would not be nearly as intelligent as he otherwise would have been. Secondly, this would also result in the absence of not just the entire Fantastic Four team, but one other notable figure. Even if the likes of Sue and Johnny and even Ben exist, the likelihood of them developing powers without Reed's presence is minuscule. Even if they do exist on Earth 616, they are likely depowered civilians living out their everyday lives, never coming to know what they were destined to become as an iconic superhero team. It's even possible that Ben and the Storms don't even know one another, but there might be something else going on here. If He Who Remains has been restricting Reed Richards' life, it's also possible that he has been restricting the life of Victor Von Doom, with the timeline doing everything in its power to prevent him from becoming Dr. Doom. His quest for power is directly fueled by his rivalry with Reed Richards, as the two were university rivals and even friends. If the absence of Reed somehow steered Doom's life off course, then it might explain why we haven't seen Dr. Doom yet either. According to the latest rumors regarding the Fantastic Four, the team will already be well established, and will have had plentiful experiences utilizing their powers and working together as a team. They will be a fully developed unit, returning to the future after having spent a year in the 1960s. But we don't currently know if there are natives of our mainline 616 Earth. If the first option about Reed not being born is true, then it's likely that Reed Richards will be a foreigner from a distant timeline. And if the team already has chemistry, then it's possible that the entire Fantastic Four team may be from another universe. This lines up neatly with what we see in the Marvels, which reveals that Maria Rambeau has found herself in a neighboring timeline in the care of the X-Men. The implication here is that the X-Men will also be multiversal refugees, and if that's the case, then the Fantastic Four may very well follow. In fact, it's possible that the Fantastic Four and the X-Men come from the same reality if this universe is destroyed in some way. This could be the arrival of a Kang, an incursion, or some other world-ending threat, which would leave these heroes in need of a new timeline and a new home. But another possibility we want to discuss is what if Reed wasn't actually destroyed or erased from existence, but was rather exiled? If Reed Richards was in some way exiled, be it to the 60s or to another dimension, then he may not have been scripted to have children in He Who Remains' original series. This might explain why they are displaced from the main timeline, and secondly, why they're only just now able to escape after a full year of being stuck. Now that He Who Remains is dead, and the multiverse has been allowed to grow, they can finally escape back to their home year, where Reed and Sue are now free to have children. This would of course recommence the conception of Kang the Conqueror in the distant future, but the original intention was for them to be trapped there indefinitely where they could not have kids. Doom, however, may be a different case. While the details are often murky, it is believed that Kang is a mutual descendant of both Reed and Doom, and that somewhere in the past his family connected with the bloodline of Doom. This of course means that he inherited his intelligence from two of the smartest individuals in the Age of Heroes, and by eliminating both of these individuals from the timeline, He Who Remains can all but guarantee that if he is ever born, he would never have the necessary intellect to become a threat to the multiverse. Doing this would allow the Fantastic Four to be native to the MCU and have a personal connection with this particular timeline, while still explaining their absence in tandem with their experience and powers. If this is true, then the timeline would look something like this. The Fantastic Four would gain their powers at some point in the main timeline, perhaps during the events of the blip where the MCU had remained largely unexplored. During their time, they get stuck in the past before the events of Endgame in order to ensure that Reed and Sue do not have children, as Reed would never take this chance in a foreign time. Originally, He Who Remains had planned for them to stay there, but now they can escape since He Who Remains is no longer monitoring the timeline, leading directly into the events of their own film. This might also indicate that Doom may have been with them during this expedition, and he too was exiled by He Who Remains in order to ensure that Kang is never born. If this is true, then we may not only see Reed and his team, but Doom as well at the dawn of their rivalry. Now that they're back, not only will they play an integral role in the future of the MCU, but they will be allowed to continue their bloodline and result in the imminent arrival of a 616 native Kang. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this theory? Do you think that Reed was intentionally displaced to the 60s by He Who Remains? And if so, what does this mean for the future of the Fantastic Four? Were they meant to be trapped there forever? And what do you think their next adventure will be? Thank you so much, my friends, for watching the channel and the video today. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and I'll catch you in the next one.